What's up, y'all? So I'm doing another video on the Kinetix Intake Manifold. I did a video like this 12 months ago, and about 12 months later it's still people criticizing this intake. And what I've been hearing, oh, this is a waste of money and all that other shit. I just saw a video some guy named Static Garage posted 7 days ago of him installing this intake manifold on his friend's G35 Coupe with the Rev-up Engine. During that video, he made a comment that brought something to my attention. He made mention about how he heard other people talking about, oh, this intake doesn't make gains in a application. It only makes gains in the boosted application. That comment alone is what led to me doing a video response to the counter. So I'm about to show y'all a few different dynos to once again counteract the criticism of this intake manifold. So one of the dyno graphs, let me just show you some. This is a 2004 G35 6-speed manual non-rev-up engine. And you can see right here, all they got Kinetix Intake Manifold and some no-name short ram tape. You see, look at the gains right there, right off the bat. What more do I need to explain? Second example is a one from Soho Motorsports. Now this is also a G35 as well with the 6-speed manual non-rev-up engine. Now this one had multiple bolt-on mods including tome cams and test pipes and stuff like that. You see right here, look, just like with the first dyno graph, this also makes gains, peak gains from 6,000 to 7,000 RPM. Next example is a G35 automatic that Soho Motorsports tuned, and you can see it also makes gains. Just the only thing is this car was only revving to 6,500 RPMs. So right off the bat, that's 3 examples I showed y'all. And another thing I want to point out too, that video I saw of the guy who installed this intake manifold, I also saw another video of this same guy doing a dyno video with this G35. And if y'all notice, he was talking about how the car was making 274, which I saw it, but one thing I really was paying attention to it was where this number was being made at. And it said right there, if you look at that video, I'm gonna post a link to this video. I suggest you pause at 7:30, 7 minutes and 30 seconds. Pause it around that, take a look at it, and you'll see what I'm talking about. If you look carefully, it says 274 horsepower at around 6,100 RPM. And if you look carefully, I could see that the power curve starts falling off all the way to 7,500 RPM, where it basically is making under 250 horsepower. And that's the main purpose for this intake manifold, where it holds the power curve above 6,000 RPM to 7,500 RPMs. Now this next dyno graph is an excellent illustration of what I'm talking about. Now this one was off from admin tuning. This was on the 350Z with the non-rev-up engine, 6-speed manual. If you can see right here, there are like 3 different lines, and 2 of the lines have the non-rev-up lower plenum. The green line that y'all can see, that's with JWT-S1 cams, and more importantly, the Kinetix philosophy intake manifold. And if you can see right here, it's basically holding this power curve from 6,000 all the way to 7,500 RPM. So that's another example of how this intake manifold works. This next dyno graph was for my 350Z. Now this is different than the one I showed y'all in the other video I did involving this topic 12 months ago. Now let me just point some things out. I know y'all gonna say, well, what are you talking about? These numbers don't add up. You ain't made no gains and all this other stuff. Let me just point some things out. Now if you notice the 250 horsepower number, I can tell that these numbers were kind of lowballed a little bit, and I'm gonna break it down why. I took this car to a shop that was doing a dyno day. So I noticed as the operator of the dyno was creating a new file for the next car to be dyno tested, I noticed in the big screen that was being shown with the dyno charts and stuff like that, I noticed that it had a setting for the dyno machine, and this proves that the numbers can be manipulated, and I'm gonna give you a prime example of this too. So this next dyno graph is off of a 350Z with also the Kinetix Intake Manifold, along with other mods including an admin tuning short ram intake, the NWP throttle body, as well as the motor dyno catback exhaust. With those mods, it was making 283 on the Mustang dyno, which is proof that sometimes the numbers just don't tell the whole story. It's really the power curve, and that's really where I like to know where the horsepower is being made. And let me tell y'all something. If you were to put that 350Z against my 350Z and the 45 miles an hour road, both cars in second gear, within a quarter mile, my 350Z would defeat that 350Z by at least a car and by 1.5 car lengths, for two reasons. One, my 350Z compared to the other 350Z that I'm showing y'all with the dyno chart, my 350Z is a non-rev-up engine, but it's tuned to rev to 7200 RPMs, which allows me to take advantage of the power curve with this intake manifold. So that's one reason. The second reason is my 350Z has aftermarket headers, and that also makes more power, especially in the mid-range, in some cases top RPM range. So once again, I showed y'all some more examples of the intake manifold making gains in the application for both the 350Z and the G35 Rev-up or non-Rev-up VQ35 DE engine. I have noticed the price on this intake manifold has gone up a bit, so if y'all still looking for top end gains, I recommend the stock Rev-up lower Plenum as a lower cost alternative, and match it with a Plenum spacer or even the Kinetix V plus Plenum. And I'm going to show y'all a couple of examples of that. Next dyno graph is off of a G35 Sedan with the Rev-up engine. Now this one had various mods including the Kinetix V plus Plenum. Now if you look at the power curve for this, I could tell it had the Rev-up lower Plenum, because if it had, let's say, the stock non-Rev-up lower Plenum slash Motordyne MREV2 lower Plenum, you will see a totally different power curve. The other example is a 350Z with the non-Rev-up engine 6-speed manual. This one also had the Rev-up lower Plenum. Now this one was an NA build with full bolt-ons as well as JWT C8 cams. This 350Z was from my buddy Devin, who also has his own YouTube channel named Jellofuel. When he dynoed this 350Z last year, it was making over 300 horsepower from 6,000 RPMs all the way to 7,500 RPM, and that's due to the fact that he switched out the lower plenum from the non-rev-up version to the rev-up version, and also he made a couple other changes. Those two changes were switching out both the arc pipes as well as the motor down Y pipe to the Z1 Y pipe as well as Z1 test pipes, and that's how he was able to get the numbers that I'm showing y'all. So that's really about it. I'm gonna end this video right now. Later.